Most people think professional traders are different because they win more. That's not actually true. Professional traders lose all the time. In fact, losses are a daily, unavoidable part of their lives. What separates professionals from everyone else isn't how often they lose, but how they think about losing. Losses don't threaten their identity. They don't trigger panic, revenge, or self-doubt. To a professional trader, a loss is not a verdict. It's information. And once you understand that mindset shift, everything about trading begins to change. Amateur traders experience losses emotionally first and logically second. The moment a trade goes against them, the brain starts telling stories. I was right, but the market is manipulated. If I just hold a little longer, it'll come back. I can't take another loss today. Professionals don't let the story start. They don't negotiate with the market. They accept immediately that uncertainty is the price of admission. The market doesn't owe them validation. It doesn't reward effort. It only responds to probabilities playing out over time. Professional traders understand something deeply uncomfortable. No single trade matters. This idea is easy to say, but incredibly hard to internalize. Most people attach significance to individual trades because their ego is involved. Each trade feels like a test of intelligence, discipline, or worth. Professionals detach from that completely. They think in samples, not moments. A single loss is meaningless outside the context of hundreds or thousands of trades. It's just one data point in a long statistical series. This is why professional traders obsess over process instead of outcomes. They don't ask, "Did I make money?" after a trade. They ask, "Did I follow my rules?" If the answer is yes, the trade is considered successful even if it lost money. That may sound counterintuitive, but it's the foundation of long-term profitability. A good process can produce bad outcomes in the short term. A bad process can produce good outcomes temporarily. Professionals judge themselves only on the quality of their decisions, not the randomness of results. Losses also don't surprise professionals. They expect them. Before they ever enter a trade, they already know how much they're willing to lose. That loss is accepted emotionally before it happens financially. This is one of the most important distinctions between amateurs and professionals. Amateurs place a stop loss as a technical requirement. Professionals place it as a psychological contract. Once the trade is entered, the risk is no longer a threat. It's already paid for mentally. Professional traders don't try to avoid losses. They try to control them. They know that losses are the cost of doing business, just like inventory costs in retail or payroll expenses in a company. The goal isn't to eliminate losses, because that's impossible. The goal is to make sure no single loss, or even a string of losses, can damage their ability to keep playing the game. Survival always comes before profit. This is why position sizing matters more than entry precision. Professionals would rather have a mediocre entry with perfect risk control than a perfect entry with sloppy risk. They size their positions so that a loss barely registers emotionally. If a loss feels painful, it's a signal that the size was too big. Emotional pain clouds judgment, and professionals are ruthless about protecting their clarity. Another critical difference is how professionals interpret drawdowns. When amateurs hit a losing streak, they assume something is wrong with them. They change strategies, abandon rules, or stop trading altogether. Professionals expect drawdowns because they understand the distribution of returns. Even a highly profitable system can experience long periods of underperformance. A drawdown doesn't mean the edge is gone. It means variance is expressing itself. Professional traders prepare for these periods in advance. They know their historical drawdowns. They know how many losing trades in a row are statistically normal. When those losses happen, there's no panic because the experience matches expectations. The pain comes from surprise, not from loss itself. Professionals remove surprise by doing the math ahead of time. One of the most misunderstood aspects of professional trading is confidence. It doesn't come from winning trades. It comes from trust in a tested process. Professionals don't feel confident because they're always right. They feel confident because they know exactly what to do when they're wrong. That certainty creates calm, even in losing periods. Professionals also don't personalize losses. They don't say, "I lost money," as if it reflects who they are. They say, This trade lost. The distinction is subtle but powerful. The loss belongs to the trade, not to the trader. This psychological separation allows them to remain objective. When identity gets involved, learning stops. Defense mechanisms kick in. Blame replaces curiosity. After a loss, professionals don't immediately look for the next trade. They pause, not to dwell emotionally, but to check alignment. Was the setup valid? Was execution clean? Was risk respected? If yes, they move on without friction. If no, they make a note and adjust. There is no self-punishment. There is no emotional spiral, just refinement. Professional traders also understand that avoiding losses can be more dangerous than taking them. Holding on to losing trades to avoid admitting defeat is one of the fastest ways to blow up an account. Professionals are comfortable being wrong quickly. They cut losses without hesitation because they know that capital preserved today is opportunity tomorrow. This willingness to accept being wrong is a superpower. Most people avoid situations where they might look foolish, even to themselves. Professionals see being wrong as neutral. It's feedback. Every loss contains information about market conditions, timing, or execution. Ignoring that information because of ego is far more costly than the loss itself. Another key difference is that professionals don't revenge trade. They don't feel the need to get it back. That impulse comes from emotional imbalance, not strategic thinking. Professionals know that trying to recover losses quickly usually leads to larger losses. They let the equity curve do its job over time. Patience is not passive for them. It's disciplined restraint. Professionals also recognize that not all losses are equal. A small, planned loss is a success. A large, uncontrolled loss is a failure, even if the trade eventually recovers. This redefinition of success and failure rewires how they feel about trading. Success becomes consistency. Failure becomes rule-breaking. One of the most powerful shifts professional traders make is understanding randomness. Even the best setups fail. Even perfect analysis can be invalidated by new information. The market is a complex system with countless participants, many of whom are operating on time frames and motivations you can't see. Professionals don't try to predict with certainty. They align with probabilities. This probabilistic mindset allows them to stay emotionally neutral. If you truly believe that any trade can lose, then a loss doesn't shock you. It was always a possibility. Professionals don't hope. They execute. Hope is an emotional attachment to a specific outcome. Execution is commitment to a process regardless of outcome. Losses also don't define a professional trader's self-worth because trading is not their entire identity. They have a broader sense of self. This psychological stability matters more than most people realize. When trading becomes a measure of personal value, every loss feels existential. Professionals avoid that trap by grounding their identity elsewhere. Professional traders also keep detailed records of losses, not to obsess, but to learn. They track patterns, mistakes, and emotional states. Over time, this creates a feedback loop that continuously improves performance. Losses become teachers, not enemies. Each one contributes to a deeper understanding of both the market and themselves. Importantly, professionals don't seek comfort after losses. They seek clarity. They don't numb the feeling with distractions or overtrading. They sit with the discomfort long enough to extract insight, then let it go. Emotional maturity in trading doesn't mean not feeling anything. It means not being controlled by what you feel. Another subtle distinction is that professionals don't brag about wins or hide losses. They treat both with the same neutrality. Wins don't inflate their ego. Losses don't deflate it. This emotional symmetry keeps them stable. When emotions swing too far in either direction, discipline erodes. Professionals also understand that the market doesn't reward effort. You can work incredibly hard and still lose money. You can do everything right and still lose. Accepting this reality prevents bitterness. The market is not a merit-based system. It's a probabilistic one. Professionals stop expecting fairness and start focusing on alignment. One of the hardest lessons professionals learn is that avoiding losses often feels good in the short term, but destroys performance in the long term. Skipping valid trades because of fear, tightening stops irrationally, or hesitating on entries are all ways amateurs try to protect themselves emotionally. Professionals accept temporary discomfort in service of long-term consistency. Losses also teach professionals humility. No matter how experienced you are, the market can always surprise you. This humility keeps them adaptable. Overconfidence leads to oversized positions, ignored rules, and eventually, large losses. Professionals respect the market because they've been humbled by it repeatedly. Professional traders don't aim to be fearless. They aim to be prepared. Fear is a natural response to risk. The difference is that professionals don't let fear dictate their actions. Preparation absorbs fear. When you know your risk, trust your system, and accept the outcome in advance, fear loses its grip. Another important point is that professionals don't trade to feel something. They don't seek excitement, validation, or escape. Trading is a business. Losses are business expenses. Emotional neutrality is not coldness, it's professionalism. When emotion drives decisions, inconsistency follows. Over time, professionals develop an almost boring relationship with losses. There's no drama, no internal debate, no second guessing. The loss happens, it's recorded, and attention returns to the next opportunity. This calmness isn't innate. It's trained through experience, reflection, and discipline. Perhaps the most important thing professionals understand is that losses are not obstacles to success. They are the path. Every profitable trader you admire has taken thousands of losses. The difference is that those losses didn't stop them. They shaped them. Each loss refined their discipline, sharpened their rules, and strengthened their mindset. When you stop fearing losses, you stop sabotaging yourself. You stop interfering with your system. You stop trying to control outcomes that can't be controlled. That's when consistency emerges. Not because losses disappear, but because they lose their power over you. In the end, professional traders don't think about losses as failures. They think about them as inevitable, manageable, and necessary. Losses are not the enemy. Emotional reaction is. The moment you can take a loss without flinching, without self-judgment, and without impulse, you're no longer trading like an amateur. You're thinking like a professional.